Siyanamukela futhi kwidlala Mzansi. Now, if you have just joined us, awukakaphuthelwa sisahlezi no Thando Manana. Now, Thando's rise through rugby rankings while earning a reputation as a tough tackling lock and later open side flanker was astonishingly rapid, especially for a player of color at the time. Within 2 years of picking up a rugby ball, he represented Eastern Province at Craven Week, and by 2000, he was a Springbok. We continue with the conversation. So, introduction to rugby comes in. 1995 World Cup comes. Where are you?
95, I'm in Standard 9. I just started the game. In fact, South Africans were drawn into the game after the World Cup. I was not. I was drawn up before I even acknowledged that there was a World Cup happening in South Africa, which was in June at some stage, if I'm not mistaken. So, you know, the World Cup just rejuvenated, you know, the love of the game. I think for me it rejuvenated if one looked at guys like Jonah Lomo at the tournament. You know, you look at Franz Rapina, you look at Chester scoring those 4 tries. So those were some of the big guns. You look at Zinzenbroek, you know, that drop goal against England and so forth. So for me it was just to follow on, because a tournament comes and it goes. And it's the legacy that it leaves behind. And it left for me a legacy that I also wanted to don the green and gold, you know, not knowing that 5 years from that time, I would also be able to call myself and also have my name in the honors board in Cape Town, saying that I'm a Springbok. And those are things that you can't erase, you know, as a sports person. They remain, you know, they're engraved, you know, my life will always go on. But, you know, I would leave a legacy behind. So that was for me what 95 was. It was a time when both the World Cup was staged in South Africa and also my rise into the game started.
With that 95 dream, saying, you know what, this is what I want to do now with my life. You then 5 years later say you get the call up. How was that phone call and how did you feel about that?
Look, I think year 2000 is a strange year. You know, you read in the book, you know, we found that 2000 was a tough journey from PE to Kimberley. Ways in Ninja, they change. You know, taking a bus from PE at 6, arriving at Bloemfontein at 2 in the morning, being picked up at 10:30 the following day, waiting for someone to pick you up. You know, at that stage, I could have said, you know what, I was already playing for Eastern Province, Currie Cup side. It's at home, I've got my own place, I've got everything, it's just comfort. But you always have to push the envelope in life. So we went to Kimberley. I got to Kimberley, I was not even the first choice because of my skin color. You know, what they needed was a black player just as an add-on black player so that they have the right numbers in terms of numbers at the time for Vodacom Cup. And I was that numbers, but I was not guaranteed I would start. So for me, it was there, you know, everything playing into my mind. These people, you know, already saying they're just using you for this type of competition, and then you go home or whatever they want to do. But for me, it was more than that, and it proved, because later in the year I became a junior Springbok. You know, I was not even thinking then. I was thinking that now I'm a junior Springbok, which was at the time it's SA under 23. You don't have it anymore now. You have a SA under 20 side, which is now the junior Springboks. So for me, I was looking forward to playing in that tournament, which was the African Nations tournament. We had gone to Morocco, Zimbabwe, and so forth. But later in the year, you know, as you say, you know, that call-up is when they announced the squads. They started with the SA under 23 sides. My name was not there. And I thought maybe they thought I'm injured because I'd gotten a bump against the Sharks 2 weeks ago. But when I heard my name being called out on the Springbok, it was not only a phone call, but to hear your name on TV, it's surreal. You know, if you are jonga, there's no one around you to jump into. That was the situation. So for him now, it was a Saturday evening. It was after the Currie Cup final, Western Province versus the Sharks. And a lot of things went within me of saying, and it's a self-belief thing, you did it. And I looked around, there's no one. But for me, what was important is I was not doing it for anyone. I was doing it for myself. That's the problem, is once you start thinking about other people, as I said earlier on, it's a problem. Start with yourself. You know, vuya wena ngento yenzileyo inside you. And then you can look at, because people outside are going to compliment you, but you don't know how true is that compliment. But for you, you know, it's a hard-earned achievement. So for me to hear my name on TV was to say, okay, hold on, I'm there now. Calm down, you've done well. The next step now is to, again, compete with the best of the best at the time. In South Africa, you had Andre Vos, who was the captain. You had Rassie Rasmus. You had Andre Venter. You had Warren Brosnan. You had AJ Venter. You had myself. It was tough. But I needed to say, I'm there, I've been put there, I've been selected there. Firstly, it's an honor, but secondly, it means that I must pull up my socks and want to do more.
You then get called in as a Black Springbok.
Yes.
You're very vocal when it comes to things like rugby development, things like transformation.
Yes.
When you talk about the Craven Week as well,
Yeah.
I mean, since its inception in 1992, it hasn't come to
Never
any
went.
of those touches.
Never
So you're
went.
very vocal when it comes to those. Where are we in terms of our development here? And where are we in that race for transformation?
Let's start with the word black. I think as a Black African, for any person who's a Black African in this country and you're not comfortable with your own skin color, you've got a problem. Whether you've been to Isikolo Saselokishini, you've been to a Model C school, and you're black, the fact of the matter is be comfortable with who you are. That's one. Secondly, I don't think in 1992 when the sport rugby was unified amongst all the federations, it was to not include black people. It was to include everyone. So the struggle started in 1992. You'll see in the book, I write very critical of our black administrators who, at the time, had wanted a sport, a unified sport, with the slogans then before our democracy of no abnormal sport in an abnormal society. But when we were normal, and we were in a normal society, they backstabbed many of us and many of the upcoming players. Where are they now? If you look at the Koleki Legalos of this world, the Faj Mabata of this world, where are they now? You know, sitting where and what are they doing? So for me, it's always a case in point that says, black people, you're not on your own, but we need to unite. We need to talk about these things. Because remember, a white person will ask me, but why did you have to put a Black Springbok? But who am I? Why must I change and saying, being a Springbok, for whom? Who am I talking to? So the audience that mna inthetha nayo is audience emnyama, and it's a black audience, and saying you've got your child, you're taking your child to a Model C school, just read so that you have a little bit of background on this sport, because abantwana, when they're cooler, they know nothing what is happening after matric or during high school. Bona they see a normal world, a plain living world, but things get interesting once you go outside of that comfort zone. So the book is more about, if you talk of those things that you mentioned, transformation. And transformation, I talk nicely about it. My nice is harsh.
Asibambe lapho
Yeah.
when we come to the book, because after the break I want us to dissect what is in the book, and for you to tell us what one can really pick out and learn from when it comes to the book. So that thought, just hold it there. Now, Thando has arguably become rugby's strongest advocate for the advancement of black people's interest in the sport, and his personal journey reveals why. This conversation is not over yet. After the break, siyaqhubeka nayo.